Hello lovely people, how are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I was almost tripping over my words already. Yeah, I hope you're well. I'm okay. Cold still lingers, who'd have thunk it? It's coming up for 3 weeks. Never mind, just getting on anyway. So today, I'm finally going to get around to, I've been mentioning this in a few videos about a little treasure that I want to share with you that's to do with homemaking, and specifically during the Second World War. It's my grandma and granddad's homemaking and a little book that they've left behind. I think though, just before we plough into it, this little tickle is still annoying. I'm so sorry. It's just worth mentioning straight away again, as I always try to remind myself to do whenever the subject of the Second World War comes up, and we're talking about things like homemaking or gardening, that sort of thing, is that yes, there's so much we can learn from that period, that we can take from that period, especially if we're super frugal. There's obviously clear links, but we need to always remember, first and foremost, that of course this was real life for our relatives. This was a terrifying time for so many people. People who were living in the big cities then, London, Southampton, Bristol, Liverpool, the big sort of dock cities, with never knowing if a bomb was going to come. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say, that when we use elements from that period, that this isn't a theme park, this isn't, let's always remember that this was a terrible, terrible time for so many people, that whilst we may be frugal now, for a lot of us, our frugality is based on choice, whereas for a lot of folk during that time with rationing and etc., their food choices, for example, were driven by the fact that the nation was being starved because food wasn't getting in, and you would hope we'd learn a lesson from that and focus on food production instead of all sorts of other things, but we're still beholden to other nations and bringing food in. Anyway, gosh, that went a bit political, didn't mean it to, but the point is, we have access to food today that they didn't. If we choose to make a really frugal recipe, yeah, we're doing it by choice, not by absolute necessity. But like I said, I think I've got a little book here as well, not my grandma's one yet, but there is so much we can learn from that period. And if we think of things like make, do and mend, I think that slogan was actually invented during the war. I was thinking about waste not, want not as well the other day, and I thought, I don't know where that phrase comes from. I'll do a quick look up. It's actually really, really old. It's a much older phrase than from the Second World War, but that's kind of how we think, isn't it, of that period. And especially for my grandparents who were poor, working class. My granddad's family was really, really poor. My grandma's family was working class, but so if sort of combining that sort of poverty, working class, and the lack of anything during the war, then waste not, want not totally makes sense. The whole Dig for Victory campaign. And I know there's been quite a few YouTubers over the years who said, I'm going to have a Dig for Victory garden. I'm going to do my Dig for Victory garden on the allotment. And I think to myself, well, all allotment gardens, even today, are sort of Dig for Victory gardens, aren't they? It's just a different kind of victory. The victory we're digging for now is maybe thinking about, a more sustainable way of producing food. It might be victory in terms of it's a victory over chemicals if you're gardening organically. So, yeah, lots to take from that period. And excuse me. Sorry, I just had to go and grab some hand cream because I just washed my hands before I turned the camera on. They were feeling dry and horrible. Yeah, going back to what we can take from that period. And I've had in the shop on a few occasions, my bookshop, I've had these books on a few occasions, and then I've had a big gap, and I recently had two that both sold, and I've just picked up this one, Marguerite Patton's We'll Eat Again. So they're great books. It's recipes from the time, recipes from the period, but also a sort of little illustrations, pamphlet bits, photographs from the period as well. So as a sort of a social history book, really interesting, but actually a practical cookbook too. I thought I'd just dip into this with you a little bit this morning. So for instance, there's a section of going into the soups bit. Sorry, my brain's everywhere today. Going into the soup chapter. Again, bearing in mind rationing. I love that picture. The land girls all sitting down for their lunch at the side of a wheat field. Yeah, that wheat in the background is looking pretty ripe. So what soups might we have thought about? Borscht, using dripping or margarine or yuck. Just 1 ounce. What's that? Is that 25 grams? And that's for 4 servings. So real shortage of fat. But using really basic vegetables. So vegetables that could be grown in the back garden: beetroot, potatoes, carrot, onion, cabbage, and a couple of tomatoes. Boom. Vegetable soups, all sorts of vegetable soups. A cream of parsnip soup, of course, with no cream in it. A little bit of flour and a little bit of milk to then blend to make it have that sort of creamy texture. And I guess things like texture and that unctuousness of say cream and milk is something that folk might have missed quite a lot. So any way to make a food feel more creamy in the mouth would have been lovely. Oatmeal soup. I mean, it's basically onions, a couple of carrots, 2 tablespoons of oatmeal, water. No, it's not even stock. It's just water. 1 ounce of margarine. Yeah, skimpy things. But I think that, you know, like all the soups I make, they're very frugal soups. And if I've been inspired to make one of my soups by a recipe I've seen, quite often if the recipe calls for the addition of cream at the end, I leave it out. Or if it calls for, you know, a sprinkling of cheese at the end, I leave that out. And if it's a really, really lean week for me, those things like dairy, the fats and stuff, leave it out because that's the expensive bit. Just stick with the vegetables. And so it goes. Oh! In the corner here, pea pod soup. I make pea pod soup. That's a real waste not, want not recipe because we grow our pea pods for the peas inside, don't we? Oh, lovely, straight in the mouth in the garden. But don't throw your pods away. You can make a soup from your pea pods. And then we're using the entire plant. Well, not the stalks and stems. Mock oyster soup. There's no oysters in oyster soup. There are fish trimmings, but again, it's that thing of the trimmings. So if you're doing a nice piece of fish for your supper and you've got all your trimmings cut off, I don't know what trimmings are, bits that you cut off. I've never cooked or eaten fish as a grown up. I had fish fingers as a kid, and that's it. But yeah, all those bits that we cut off to chuck, save them. And if nothing else, they can become part of a stock. Same with all our vegetable peelings, if you do peel your veg. Or, as I used to do in the garden, in the late spring as we're just heading into summer, if I'm thinning anything, I might be thinning the fennel or thinning carrots and you've got these teeny little veg, all those thinnings, bring them home and they form the basis for a lovely stock. Yes, anyway, so it goes, and I think that's one of the biggest things we can take from that period, is the idea that we just don't throw anything away. Can we reuse it in some way? Opening a parcel and opening it carefully so you keep the paper. I can't, but I still to this day. So I grew up in a household where paper was kept, gift wrap at Christmas or parcel paper. So obviously my mum was a tiny weeny girl during the war, but brought up by parents who really had so little. So that meant that everything counted. And so when I was really little, I'm being brought up by a person who's been brought up like that. It makes sense that that's passed on. So yeah, simple things like when you open a parcel, don't throw the paper away. Open it out, then you can flatten it a bit and then fold it neatly, pop it in a drawer, and next time you need to send a parcel, you've got parcel paper. Exactly the same with gift wrap. So save your gift wrap. And some people might think, oh, that's just stingy. You're using second-hand gift wrap for someone's present. In this day and age, never mind the money saving, but just in terms of being a bit more sustainable, a bit more ecologically minded, to stop buying something brand new, using it once and then chucking it. It's madness to me. Anyway, so I find these sort of books, I find the programmes that are, we sometimes see on TV, and once upon a time, that generation is all dying out now, but once upon a time, talking to my older relatives, talking to older neighbours, hearing their experiences and acknowledging that what they went through wasn't great, but that so much of that we can use today to be a bit more frugal and a bit more sustainable. I just, old proverbs, a stitch in time saves nine. Boy, oh boy, doesn't it? I'm always repairing my clothes. Look, I know a lot of you are very like-minded. But yeah, if a button comes off a shirt, I'm not going to throw the shirt away. And if I can't find that button, I'm going to go to my button box and find as close a match as possible and put a new button on. Yeah, no throwaway fashion here, no fashion here. Anyway, just coming on to, I'll come on to my thing in a sec. So, my little treasure is this. Very simple little notebook. There's something in the front I want to show you as well. I'll just set that aside a second. Yeah, lovely little M papers. And this book is, I don't know what's the best way to show it to you. I'll show you on a blank page. Can you see it's a little accounting book? So you've got your columns for pounds, shillings and pence. There are sort of 3 or 4 parts to this book, and what's really lovely is I can see my grandmother's handwriting and my grandfather's handwriting. It's so lovely. They got married in the spring of 1939, so just before the war started in the September. My granddad stayed in London. My granddad was a conscientious objector on religious grounds. So he stayed in London and worked, and obviously my grandma was there. So hence they have both lots of handwriting. And one of the reasons I wanted to share this with you today, I'll read some of the bits out. It's a bit faint for me to show on camera. But it's what's amazing about this is just how humble everything is. So this was their little book for expenditure for their flat. They had a little flat. I can't remember whether they say it was a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom flat above a shop. kind of like me. And this was them, because obviously in those days you don't live together before you're married. I think they probably canoodled a bit before they were married. But anyway, so this little book represents the start of their married life, them making home together. So there's a section at the beginning of, it goes room by room in the flat. That's living room. How many bedrooms was it? It doesn't matter. Kitchenette. They only had a little kitchenette. And it went through bedroom. Is there a second bedroom? Bathroom. No, so it was one bed flat. And it's a list of everything they're going to need for their home. Imagine, it's hard to, I think it's quite hard for us to imagine now, isn't it? Because so many of us have a home before we get married. I can't imagine many people in this day and age, at the age of, my nan would have been 21 and my granddad would have been 24 or 5, something like that. I can't imagine many people their age now going into an unfurnished property and having to furnish and buy everything for their life all in one go, kind of thing. So that's what they did. So I'll go through a little bit of that with you in a second. But that was their list of requirements for what they'd need in their new married home. There's a little section as well, a month by month, my granddad kept a record of their spending. Really interesting. There's a little section, again, we go back to my grandma's handwriting, and it's their wedding presents, and you won't believe something compared with today. It's so humble. It's amazing. And then finally in the very middle there's a little section which it starts in 1942, in June 1942, and it goes, is that when it starts? Yeah. And it goes right the way through to March 1946, so it covers 4 years, and it's a loan that my grandparents took from her parents. Her dad loaned them 50 quid and her mum loaned them 50 quid. So it's £100 loan in total, and it took them 4 years, best part of 4 years, to pay it back at £2 a month. So it took 50 months to pay it back. 48 months is 4 years, a little over 4 years. And so every time they paid a little bit back. So what's really lovely about this is I also have my great grandparents writing, because either he or she would sign to say it's received. But look at that, £2 a month. Again, I think with the sums of money, it's hard for us to imagine, isn't it? A loan of £100. What would that be today? Maybe that's £1,000, paying back 20 quid a month. But yeah. What a wonderful document, what a wonderful record. Oh, and what I loved, now, I only came by this notebook a few years ago. I can't remember if it's in a video you've seen yet or one you're yet to see, but because I've just made a couple in the last couple of days, trying to catch up on work from having missed a load because of dealing with the flat. I was mentioning about... No, I think you have seen it. Remember I was mentioning when I was in the bathroom and I was saying about buying timber and bits for the bathroom reno here, that I always have a notebook in my, not handbag, it's not a handbag, but my day bag, my bag that always goes with me. I always have a notebook in it. And if I'm in the middle of a project, almost certainly, within that notebook at the back somewhere will be lists of measurements. There might even be little plans, and it's basically, sorry, I keep saying basically, it's to remind me when I'm out and about, if I see some good timber in a skip that's clean and dry, because I've got my notebook, I know how much I need, or if I go to the DIY shop, I know what I need. I've always done that, so that's been a habit of mine all my grown-up life, really. I've always got a notebook in my bag, and in the back of it, the front is for, something I've just thought about. The front of it is if I'm in the street having a conversation with a friend and they mention a really interesting book, I say, oh, hang on, I get my notebook out and make a note of the book they've just mentioned. But in the back, it's always about things I need and can keep a lookout for, whatever, and projects. And what I love is, and this is in my granddad's hand, in this notebook, look at their rooms. So I think, can I work it out from this? Oh, that goes downstairs, bedroom. So that's the bedroom measurement. Downstairs to where? Well, the flat was upstairs, and I guess that might have been the living room. It's got a nice bay window there. Down and up. Down. Anyway, it's just really sweet to have my granddad's plan of their first marital home together. It's such I'm going to get emotional. I wasn't supposed to get emotional today. I miss him so much. I miss them both. Anyway, good grief. They taught me well. So let's have a little look at some of the details. And like I said, this is going to have to be me just reading it out because it's quite faint. Oh my goodness, that damped my eyes. Isn't it funny how it just suddenly comes every now and again? For the most part, I can happily natter away about my grandparents without getting tearful. Oh, I just think I'm a bit tearful at the moment. I think all my emotions are quite heightened at the moment. Anyway, so wedding gifts, stair carpet, blankets, saucepans, and then from Mrs. Winter gave them a kettle, a spoon and some dusters. This is what I mean about how humble it is, and for me this is what we can learn from this time. Is I think we live in a generation or an age where people just expect to have everything. It's my right to have a 50-inch colour TV. It's my right to have an Xbox, and it's my right to have all. And hang on a minute. Let's get back to basics. What do you actually need? What do we need in each room? So these are their very humble, lovely wedding gifts. They got a basin and a bowl from someone else. We all need a bowl, don't we? We wash up in a washing up bowl. Pillows and, that's from Auntie Nellie. That's my granddad's, one of his older sisters. She lived on Bodmin Moor for ages. So pillows and cases, a tablecloth, carpet, an eiderdown, towels, jugs, a fire screen. Oh, now this is a bit fancy, and I don't remember either of them drinking coffee, a coffee percolator. Maybe my grandma did occasionally. I know my granddad wouldn't. He didn't like fancy stuff. Just give him a cup of tea, he's happy. A rush stool, a little rush stool, a clothes horse. We all need a clothes horse, don't we, to dry our clothes on. A tablecloth. You see, a clothes horse. I have a clothes horse. This day and age, on someone's wedding gift list, it would be a tumble dryer, wouldn't it? It's something costing hundreds of pounds. A tablecloth, another pair of pillowcases. And then, it was a gift from the office. Now, I don't know whose office. Did Grandma work a little bit before she was married? But from the office, they were given a carpet sweeper, a clock, some cutlery and a mirror. Someone else, this is so funny, I love this. Someone gave them a breadboard and a saw. Not a bread knife, a saw. So they got a breadboard and a saw. Are you okay with me going through this list? I hope it's okay with you. I'll rattle through. I just think it's fascinating and lovely to think of this young couple in 1939 setting up home with, we know what's going on in the background, but yeah, setting up home. An egg cup set, another tablecloth and some serviettes, a honey pot and sugar sifter, fish knives and forks, Oh, this is fancy. This is from a woman called Flora. Gorgeous names as well. Flora gave them a cut glass preserving jar. I reckon my nan would have kept that at the back of the cupboard for best, and she'd have been like, we don't need that. We just need good old-fashioned kilners. A tray cloth. Oh, some more towels. A morning tea set. An embroidered cloth and a lace tablecloth. Oh, from her parents, the dinner service. Everybody needs a full set of plates and bowls, don't they? So from my grandma's parents, they had a dinner service. I don't know what this next thing is, and I'm really annoyed because it's from Auntie Teapot. What is a cheval set? It's written really small. A cheval set. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to look that up because it was from Auntie Teapot. An ironing board. Grapefruit glasses. I think that was someone trying to be posh. And in those days, there wasn't a wedding list. There wasn't a gift list. It was a case of, we're getting married, come to the wedding. It was, local church, the local church for the wedding ceremony, the local church hall for the do afterwards. And it would have been, butties, sarnies, sarnies, probably everyone pitching in to make the food and bringing it to the hall. So it would have been a really simple affair with everyone pitching in. I love that. So there would have been no gift list. So people would have bought something that they thought, this is a young couple just starting out in life, what do they need? And they would have, an ironing board, table mats, a duster doll. I don't know what a duster doll is. Is it a doll made from dusters? Another tablecloth, another tray cloth, scales, brilliant. When you're a home baker, you need scales. A lemonade set. That's quite fancy as well, isn't it? Salad bowl and servers. Oh, bookends. We like bookends. A table runner. More pillowcases. Another clock. So they've had a clock from work and a clock from someone else. But that's useful, isn't it? Because you want a clock in the kitchen. Although they had a kitchenette, it was probably in the living room. Clock in the bedroom. A 3-tier cake stand, tea service, tumblers, fruit spoons. And from her mum and dad again was, it says beds and machine. Is that the sewing machine? Oh, we've gone into Grandad's writing now. 2 reading lamps, cushions, a brass tray, a coal scuttle. It's all so basic, isn't it? That these things that we need. You need a coal scuttle. If you've got coal out in the backyard, how are you going to bring it up all those flights of stairs into your flat for the fire in your flat without a coal scuttle? Bedspread, butter dish. What's that say? Something teapot. Grandad, your writing's gone scruffy. A biscuit barrel. More pillowcases. Another tablecloth and serviettes. This was a big one for them as well. I don't know who. Is it one of my grandfather's? I'm not sure. They wouldn't have had much from his family, but a kitchen table. So sweet. It goes on. A flower vase. Their wedding photographs were a wedding present from this other relative. An electric fire. We're nearly there. And a cake stand and a dress case. What's a dress case? I don't know what a dress case is. But I definitely want to find out what is a cheval set. Is it cheval? It's something that had been crossed out and it's been squished in, but that's Auntie Teapot. So I want to find out what Auntie Teapot gave her big sister for the wedding. So that's their wedding gifts. Adorable. So there's the wedding gifts, there's the loan from her mum and dad. That didn't come till 1942 though. And then again, here is, it's my granddad's hand. So this is them going room by room. Let's just keep an eye on the time. Deciding. I find this fascinating. I hope you're finding it fascinating, and not just because it's my family. I mean, I find it fascinating because it's my family, but I hope you find it fascinating just in terms of social history. What sort of wedding presents were given in 1939 to a young couple, working class, not a lot of money? What would they have had? So then there's a whole list of, I guess they went through what they needed, made the list of it, and then with some of them there are prices next to it, so I guess that's the things that they did buy. And I'm thinking as well that there are some things which might actually have been, if there's no price next to it, it might have been one of their wedding presents. But so to start with, in the living room, lino, got to have lino on the floor, a rug or mats, bureau. This is it. This is the bureau. So they bought, so the bureau, and then they bought as a job lot, they bought a side table, a sideboard, dining table and dining chairs, £13. Crikey. The lino was £1 10 shillings. And then they needed an easy chair, cushions, don't know what that says, a coal box, a bookcase, a work stool, clock, mirror, can't read that, a wool rug, a large rug, and that's the bureau. The bureau cost £4. That's so sweet, isn't it? And so it goes, but the bookcase, they did it, so they've got the list of what they want and then what they've bought and how much it was. So the stool cost 10 shillings, that's the equivalent, that's 50p. The mirror cost them a full pound and 10 shillings. I keep coming back to it, it's humble. So what do they need for the kitchen? Knives. So they got themselves 1 bread knife, 4 good steel knives, 6 dinner knives, 6 dinner forks, 6 dessert forks, so a canteen of cutlery basically, 2 tablespoons, 6 teaspoons, a set of fruit spoons, a carving knife, a tea tray, a table tray, 2 breakfast cloths and 1 tea cloth. Imagine if now all of us wrote down everything that's in our homes, itemised like this. Would you be able to fit it into just a few little pages? I doubt it. It keeps coming back to that thing, doesn't it, of maybe we all just have too much stuff. Maybe we just buy too much stuff. Have what you need and enjoy it. And yeah, don't feel the need to keep buying more, to keep having new decor every 5 minutes, keeping up with the Joneses. Have what you need and enjoy it. Plates, teacups, tea saucers, jugs, sugar basin, cruet set. How much was the cruet set? The 2 breakfast cups were a shilling, 5p. 21-piece tea service, assortment of odd platters, cushions, outside of the room, a stair carpet, an oak chair and a tub chair. I guess the tub chair is the comfy easy chair. So there's me talking about buying a whole new sofa. They had a tub chair. Oh, bless them. What do we need in our kitchens? Well, in 1939, a young bride needed saucepans, 1 set of saucepans, aluminium, and 1 casserole. How many saucepans have you got? A frying pan. Oh, my granddad's writing is very, very, very italic. A colander, a mincer, a tin opener, a corkscrew, an axe, and some scales. a plate rack, a draining board and some mixing bowls. I guess the axe maybe for chopping kindling. An ironing board, an iron, clothes horse and a washing pumbler. Pumbler, is that the clothes dolly? Pumbler, it actually says pumbler. You see that? Washing pumbler. I've never heard that word before. Baths, bowls and pails. A carpet sweeper, well they got that for the wedding, didn't they? Steps and a coal shovel to go with the coal scuttle. The bedroom is quite simple. Lino, rugs, beds, wardrobe, millinery chest and dressing table. A chair, one gents dressing chair that cost £1. And a linen basket. Sweet. I like the millinery chest, so that's what I call my blanket box. That's your chest for keeping your sheets and towels and all your household linens in a box, in a little chest. I think the best linen chests, they're made from cedar, aren't they? Because cedar repels bits and bobs. Anyway, look, this goes on. They've got, 2 blankets, 1 under blanket, plain sheets, pair of flannel sheets, 1 ordinary sheets and 4 pairs of sheets, 2 eiderdowns, 2 bedspreads, bathroom stool, lino, mat, a toilet cabinet, mirror, towels. What a lovely record for me to enjoy. But also I just think, keeps coming back to the same thing. How humble it is and how actually just cover your needs and don't worry about the rest. But what's really cute is there's this little bit from a tear off calendar that's in the front of it. Now this is from 1964, so it's 20 odd years, more than 20 years after this. July 1964, and there's a little sort of motto on the bottom. I thought, why is this in here? And it says, just about the time a woman thinks her work is done, she becomes a grandmother. I was like, And then of course I thought it was on the 6th of July that year that my sister was born, and she was the first grandchild. So I love the fact that my nan obviously pulled that off the calendar and kept it, that she's become a grandma. That's lovely. That's so cute. So yes, lots of lessons to take from that. Lots of lessons to take from that period anyway, full stop. Excuse me. I think so much of their way of living was it's just so much part of me too, growing up in that it's not rocket science for me to think like that. Now, that was my grandma's book. Do you remember at Christmas I was sent this lovely little notebook? If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. This was from Susan. I'm going to just check. Yeah, it was Susan in Canada sent this, and at the time at Christmas I said, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to keep it. It's going to be my notebook for my new home to jot ideas down. So I've already started it with the kitchen, because the kitchen that's in the flat, that all being well, touch some really lovely wood, that all being well will be mine. I don't like the kitchen at all. It's dark, it's depressing, it's not me. It needs to come out and me replace it. Probably I'll go very similar style to my kitchen here. Now, some people may think that's quite wasteful, but look, the fact is, if I'm going to live there for the next 30 years, which is the plan also, why would I live with something that I hate? Every time I go into the kitchen, I'm going to go, I hate this kitchen for 30 years. It'll drive me insane. So I'm going to change it. but it's in quite good nick, so I might be able to either sell it or donate it, what have you. But as part of that, I've already started. So this is me thinking about kitchen cupboards. What do I need cupboards to hold? Therefore, how many cupboards do I need? Because I don't like a lot of cupboards. I certainly don't like uppers. You know that by now. And in a way, it's like I'm making my lists like my grandma and granddad made for their new home of what will they need? What would I need by way of storage? And actually there's not a lot because I don't have a lot of stuff. So a cupboard for pans, and I have a frying pan, I have a small milk pan that I use for reheating things, and then I have a really tiny sauce pan, it is a sauce pan, and my 2 cast irons. So that's it. Oh, my steamer set. So in total there's across a variety of types, I've got 6 pans. That's all I have. Doesn't need to be a big cupboard for that. Another cupboard for gadgets. Now singing in terms of gadgets, I've got my food processor, really useful. I don't use it every day by any means, but I do get a lot of use from it. My blender gets a lot of use, my soup making, and my NutriBullet, which is, again, I don't do smoothies so much these days. Just think the ingredients are expensive. I used it a lot when I was working. But again, it's really useful for things like grinding up oat, if I want to make some oat milk, or grinding up linseed to make them digestible, all that kind of stuff. So I have 3 gadgets. That's it. I've got 3 gadgets. Anyway, and so it goes. So Susan, your lovely notebook, and I do you remember me mentioning at Christmas it's going to be my new home book? It's already underway. And then at the back, I'm not going to show you because it's quite a lot of private thoughts at the moment, but the back is, at the back end, it's more sort of private thoughts about how I want not just the house, but life to look once I've moved. I want to make a few changes. So that's really exciting. And with the kitchen, so this kind of comes back to the practicality. I got this out as well because this was from Susan. You might remember this parcel. Now it's my hot chocolate spoon, so I can get right to the bottom of the cup to get all the chocolate out, and it's cute. It says, drink tea, read books, be happy. I don't know if you can make that out. I certainly will. Yeah, just in terms of the, being practical and being frugal, and just to reiterate, being frugal doesn't mean never ever spending any money whatsoever. It just means spending wisely. That's my version of frugality, is spending wisely. So if I spend a lot of money on something, it's because it's something hopefully that's quality, that's going to last a long, long time. Anyway, one of the things I have thought about for that new kitchen is I don't think I'm going to do integrated appliances again. They were great for this kitchen because there's so little cupboard space. It's nearly all appliances. If I just had all these different appliances in a row, it would look so untidy and messy, and it would just, it would just make the kitchen look even smaller. Whereas for my next home, there is a space in the corner of the kitchen. There's almost a bit of an alcove that I think will be perfect for a tall fridge freezer. Thank you, everybody. Gillian, brilliant, found one. Anyway, she mentioned a 60% freezer, 40% fridge for me. So I've got it bookmarked on the computer. So the minute I'm in the new place, I can order that. But yeah, so that's the fridge freezer taken into account. But the washing machine, I'm not going to do them as integrated appliances just because there's a bit too much that can go wrong if it all goes wrong. I.e., back to here, when I had the new washing machine put in, and that man was just horrible, hideous man, and he put it in so wonky, it knocked the whole row out. Then it also rammed into the kitchen door, the fridge door, and did something wrong there. I just think if I've got freestanding appliances, if one of them breaks down, I can handle it myself. I can have a new appliance delivered, have the old appliance taken away for hopefully refurbishing, recycling, what have you. But I don't need any grumpy bloke in my house telling me that because of the way the door was put on originally, it's made his job impossible, and that's why it's wonky, because it's always been wonky. No, it ain't, mister. It ain't ever been wonky until you came into my home. So yeah, I think that's quite a good decision in terms of future-proofing repairs in the kitchen. It just means I can do them myself. I don't ever have to have someone come in and fit an appliance for me ever again. So the washing machine, I'll fit the washing machine myself. Yeah, just steer clear. The oven, there is an oven there already, and that is fitted, and I think I'd be mad to replace that. I think it works perfectly well, so that can stay. But yeah, the rest of it, yeah, I'm not going to go fitted into integrated specifically. It's just getting the door on the front of the appliance, making sure all that's perfect. Too many moving parts. Anyway, I've just looked at the time and realised I've been nattering for ages, but I really, really just wanted to share this bit of preciousness with you all. And I hope, yeah, can you see the light's a bit odd today again? Yeah, the wedding list, wedding gifts. What a treat, what a treasure, and what a wonderful lesson to come forward into the future for their grandchild, me, to keep going. I think when, oh gosh, I was about to delve into Swedish death cleaning then. I won't do that today because it will take too long, but I now have to think about where this goes after my death, so that hopefully just keep it in the family. Yeah, I'll have a think on that. It definitely needs to be kept, I think. Or, you know, something like, I don't know whether they would want it, but something like the Imperial War Museum, because it is specifically right at the beginning of the war that this young couple were setting up home. Maybe they'd be interested in it as a piece of social history. I'll look into that. Right, but that's enough. That's enough of me waffling for today. Thank you if you stuck with me for all of that. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you if you stayed with me for this one today. All right, lovelies, take care, be well, stay well. Until the next one, cheerio. A super quick PS, because it was bugging me. I just turned the computer on and looked up what a cheval set is. So that's what Auntie Teapot gave to her big sister and brand new brother-in-law for their wedding. A cheval set it's those little crochet mat sets. So you might have an oval one and then two smaller circular ones. The kind of stuff you put on the top of the dressing table onto which you lay your brush and comb and perhaps a little glass trinket tray for your ring or whatever. But yeah, a cheval set is a little crochet doilies, that's it. So that's what my great Auntie Teapot gave her big sister for her wedding. Sweet. Right, now I really am going. Cheerio, lovelies.